Hi everyone, I'm Tracy and welcome to today's video. So today I put together a video showing you guys all of my large fluffy powder brushes, and these are types of brushes that I get questions about a lot. And years ago, I think 1 or 2 years ago, I put a video together titled, "Do you need a large fluffy powder brush?" And at the end of that, my answer was no. And I stand by that based on what I use and my preferences. I tend to use a smaller or medium-sized brush to do my setting and finishing powder, and I tend to use a denser brush, which some of these are, but a lot of them aren't. So those are the reasons I don't feel like these are essential, but I have to admit these are some of the most luxurious, most I guess pleasure-inducing brushes to have and to use, just because of the experience, how soft they are. If you get the right one, they're just a joy to use. So let me go over, I'm going to start out with these like Maki ones. These are all Ahodo, and let me start out with the GP1. So I have the GP1 in the small Sakura design, and these are 100% gray squirrel hair. I accidentally bought another one, the plain one, and these are really nice. They're not dense. They're pretty floppy. So this is good if you really want to like lightly dust powder on. You can also use it for a very light dusting of bronzer, which is sometimes what I use this for. A little bit of this Patch with Tar. You know, it's not going to really contour or really like give you a lot of definition, but if you want to just add a little bit of warmth to your skin, you can use something like this. But yeah, your application is going to be very subtle. I would recommend using these with like a pressed powder versus a loose powder because they do pick up so much. So, and this one's washed, this one's not. So just to give you an idea of how much it's going to change. All right, and then this one is the Ahodo RE20-2, and it's in the large Sakura design. So they do one that's a small Sakura like this, and a large Sakura, and they usually do a peony design, which I'll show that to you guys in my next brush. I like both of them. I think maybe if I had a choice, I would pick the larger Sakura design, but either one I'm very happy with. And again, this is a very light, fluffy gray squirrel brush. I would say even more light, less dense, and it's just a joy to use. It's so soft. It's just one of those brushes that you look forward to using, you know. So when I do use it, I think I would use it for, I've used it for bronzer, like very lightly putting bronzer on, or very lightly setting. If I think I'm going to be getting maybe a little oily, I will set everywhere. If I don't have enough time to spot powder, I would use this one. It's also really good to flick fallout out because it's not going to, you know, mess things up. So yeah, the 20-2, I really like this one too. I would say if you have one of these, you don't need the other because they're pretty similar. And then this one is the Ahodo GP2, and this is a mix. So this is goat and squirrel hair, and this is the peony design. So you can see what it looks like. And this one is much more dense as far as the how tightly packed, how much hairs you get. You can see the ferrule is much thicker. It's also wider. It's also longer. So this is a very substantial brush. If you don't think this is going to be enough brush for you, then you might like this one. And I love it. I really don't use it much, but I love having it. So that is the GP2. And then I'll talk about the Chikuhodo powder brushes I have. This is the Z1, and this is their larger Z series squirrel brush, and it's a round ferrule. Yeah, it's completely round. It's more dense than the other ones that I was talking about. I leave this in a brush guard, that's why it looks like this, but when I use it more, it does fluff out. And if I do use this, when I did use it, it was for finishing powder, because you can, you know, buff product in. Also, if you feel like, you know, you're done with everything and your skin looks a little matte, you know, like a little dry, if you use a brush like this to kind of like buff your skin, it will give your skin more of a sheen, like a more, not shimmery or glowy, just give your skin a little bit more luminosity. You don't even have to put product on. You can just do this. And it kind of just smooths everything out. It, you know, in case it looks like, if you're starting to think your powder looks like it's just sitting on your skin, use something like this to buff it in. But see, again, it's a little big for me to even do this step. I prefer something smaller. But you know, that's what I like this brush for. But again, I hardly use it. And it's just mainly because of the size. And then this one is the Chikuhodo MKSK, and it has the Sakura design, and I believe these are still available. These are limited edition. They usually sell out pretty quick, but this year I feel like they had a pretty decent amount, and I like this one a lot. It's, I would say, of the brushes I've talked about so far, this one is the most high quality hairs. It's crafted perfectly. I mean, if you can you could just see, it's just completely symmetrical. The hairs aren't sticking out like the 20-2. I feel like some of the hairs here, you know, aren't the best because it's kind of frayed. But yeah, this one, it doesn't get like that. I use this for powder, but you can use it for even bronzer if you want to like lightly apply bronzer. I guess you can buff. Yeah, you can buff your powder in with this. But yeah, I highly recommend this one. I'm so glad I finally got one of these Chikuhodo limited edition brushes, because this one is a really good one. It's the only limited edition one that I have, and yeah, maybe I'll get another one at some point, but I really enjoy having this one in my collection. All right, and then I'm going to talk about these three kind of all together because they're very similar. These are the large round ferrule powder brushes that I have. This one here is the Refer 30. So let me see it better. Refer 30. This is the Bristles Beauty F10 in the middle, and this is the Hakuhodo J509. So this one has synthetic, and these two are 100% goat hair, and they're very similar. I would say maybe the Bristles Beauty has a little less hairs. The Refer has more, and yeah, the Hakuhodo has more. The Hakuhodo is the least silkiest of the three, and that's probably because they're synthetic. But I very rarely use these. In fact, I don't think I've used the Bristles Beauty one ever. But if you're looking for a big fluffy round ferrule powder brush, I would say, you know, go to the Refer or the Bristles Beauty. You're going to save money if you get these on sale. And yeah, they're perfectly good brushes, just not a type of brush that I use. Okay, and then, oh, this one is, I'll show you guys the Refer 22. This is probably my largest brush in my collection. And I've used it for bronzer here and there. I've heard Michelle Wong say this is her favorite bronzer brush, and so that made me even more interested. Refer sent this one to me, and I know that for those of you who have been collecting a lot longer, a lot of people have compared this to the Tom Ford bronzer brush when he used natural hairs for his brushes, but I don't have those, so I can't compare. But it's a large pinch ferrule. It's pretty dense, so you know, if you're using this for bronzer, you're going to probably apply a pretty decent amount, but for some people that's good. I prefer a lighter application of bronzer and a smaller brush. But another thing that I take into account when using a brush for powder is the color of the hairs. I prefer a dark hair brush because of my coloring, I can see the powder. I can see how much is going on versus a light haired brush. I can't see the powder on these, and that's why I kind of steer away from a light colored brush for powder. Okay, and this one I saved a good one for last. I haven't even used this one. I can't bring myself to use it. I will one day, but that's the Bristles BS FD1. It's from their short series, and if you've been following me, you know that I love the short and long series from Bristles because they're just so beautiful. They're very well made. I mean, it's perfectly crafted. It starts tapering very low. So this would be, you can either buff or pat because the taper is so low. But I'll let you guys know when I use it. It's just such a beautiful brush. And this is not a type of brush that I really reach for. But I wanted to show it to you guys and share with you guys how beautiful it is and how much I love having it. And then, okay, so that's gonna do it. I'll show you a little bit what I normally use to powder. I've been using this Mizuho. It's the MB140. I'll put the name down below. But this is the kind of shape I tend to go for. I like it to get into this area, and you know, I can even like powder everywhere because I'm able to press a powder in with something like this. Also, the dark hairs make it easier for me. One thing, this does shed. I've washed it a few times and it does continue to shed. It's horse and squirrel hair. So it's a pretty firm brush, but it's silky at the same time. But I do like it. I do recommend this one. Just, you know, FYI, it does shed a little bit more than the average brush. All right, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I did want to share with you guys a little like behind the scenes, like what goes on, you know, when I'm not, what goes on in order to get these videos made and, you know, put out to you guys. This is not like my full-time job. I guess I consider it part-time, and I've been kind of looking at, you know, what I do and how much time I dedicate to these videos. And I would say on average in a week, I spend about 20 hours on the YouTube channel. And a lot of that is the preparation. So not just prepping the content, like coming up with the ideas, that sometimes can actually take like weeks or months until I'm comfortable with a topic. But also like putting myself together is quite time consuming, you know, putting all my makeup on, doing my hair. I didn't do it today, but sometimes I'll have my nails done. So that is also something that takes a lot longer than I think you might realize, you know, because I always have my hair, well, not always, but I usually have all this done. This is not generally how I would do things if I weren't filming. And then the actual time I spend filming is not a whole lot, and that's going to vary, but I would say on average I spend about 3 hours a week filming, depending how many times it takes me to get the footage right, and about 7 hours or 10 hours in the editing process. So that is the most time consuming part of the channel, but that's the most enjoyable part to me. I do like the editing process. I love like playing with different effects and learning new things. I've never taken an editing class. I've learned everything on YouTube and, you know, just trying things out. But yeah, that is the most time consuming. I think a lot of weeks I would spend even more than 10 hours, you know, depending on the content. But I thought, yeah, I would share with you guys what goes on, you know, behind the scenes. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna do it for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of my large fluffy powder brushes. Again, it's not something that I feel like is an essential brush to have, but it is very much a luxury to have brushes like these, and it's one of the most, and I think for other collectors, it's one of the most exciting brushes to receive. Not gonna lie, it's A lot of it is the excitement of getting it and the excitement of, you know, just having one. But yeah, those are my opinions on these large fluffy powder brushes. I know CD Japan restocked a lot of them, and I might get one with my next order because I have points expiring, and there's a discount code. I put it on my community tab. It's for Golden Week. So yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'll put that info down below if you guys are going to do that as well. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.